What if the Vikings weren't the bloodthirsty barbarians history has made them out to be? What if behind the tales of fiery raids and clashing swords lies a hidden story? A civilization driven by purpose, strategy, and a thirst for exploration that transcended mere conquest. These were people who charted the unknown, blended cultures, and wove myths that still echo through time. Could their sagas hold cryptic truths about a grander plan, one we've overlooked for centuries? The Viking Age wasn't born in chaos, but forged in the icy landscapes of Scandinavia, where survival demanded innovation and resilience. Their world was a place of extremes, soaring fjords, treacherous seas, and endless forests. This was a crucible that shaped not only warriors but architects, poets, and visionaries. Yet the mainstream narrative seems to fixate on their brutality. Why is so much of their history left unexplored, overshadowed by tales of pillaging monks and burning villages? What might we discover if we look deeper? The Vikings called themselves Northmen, a name that speaks of their deep connection to the sea, their primary highway to the world. They didn't see the ocean as a barrier, but as a pathway to opportunity. From their intricate longhouses to the revolutionary design of their longships, every detail of their lives pointed to a society driven by ambition and ingenuity. But what inspired their relentless push outward? Was it survival, conquest, or something far more enigmatic? Today, we'll challenge the stereotypes and dig into the layers of their story. Who were the Vikings, really? Let's uncover the truths and the mysteries that their sagas left behind. Welcome to Celestial Chronicles. Let's embark on this journey together. Legacy of the Norsemen. The Viking Age ended centuries ago, but its influence remains alive today. The Vikings left more than scars from raids or memories of their fierce warriors. They shaped the culture, trade, and politics of Europe in ways that still resonate. Their reach extended far beyond Scandinavia, touching the British Isles, Eastern Europe, and even North America. One of their most lasting contributions was their role as explorers and traders. Viking ships, with their unique design, could travel vast distances across open seas or navigate shallow rivers. This allowed them to connect distant parts of the world, establishing trade routes that stretched from the Middle East to the Arctic. Through these routes, they shared goods, ideas, and even technologies. The Vikings' influence can also be seen in the places they settled. Normandy in France, for example, was named for the Northmen who settled there. These Viking settlers eventually became the Normans, who played a crucial role in European history, including the conquest of England in 1066. Similarly, the Rus Vikings in Eastern Europe laid the foundations for what would later become Russia and Ukraine. Their mythology, too, has left a deep mark. Stories of gods like Odin and Thor and the epic battles of Ragnarok have inspired countless books, movies, and works of art. These tales are more than entertainment. They reflect the Vikings' views on life, death, and the universe. As the Viking Age came to a close, their culture didn't disappear, it evolved. Many Viking descendants became Christianized and blended into the societies they once raided. Yet the core of their adventurous spirit and innovative mindset remained. The legacy of the Norsemen challenges us to rethink the stereotypes. They were not just raiders but explorers, settlers, and visionaries who helped shape the world we know today. What other hidden stories might still lie within their sagas, waiting to be uncovered? Their legacy reminds us that history is never just one story, but a tapestry woven from many threads. The Vikings and the Cross. At the start of the Viking Age, the Norse people worshipped gods like Odin, Thor, and Freya, drawing strength and guidance from their myths. Their religion celebrated nature, war, and wisdom, with rituals deeply tied to their everyday lives. But as they ventured further into Europe, they encountered a new and growing force: Christianity. This meeting of beliefs wasn't always peaceful, and it led to one of the most significant cultural shifts in Viking history. At first, the Vikings attacked Christian monasteries, seeing them as easy targets. Places like Lindisfarne, filled with wealth and lightly defended, became prime locations for raids. These attacks spread fear across Christian Europe, cementing the Vikings' reputation as ruthless pagans. But over time, the relationship between the Vikings and Christianity changed. Some Viking leaders, like Olaf Tryggvason, embraced Christianity for political reasons. Converting allowed them to build alliances with powerful Christian kingdoms and gain favor in Europe's shifting political landscape. Olaf became a fierce advocate for the new faith in Norway, sometimes using force to ensure its spread. Churches began to appear across Scandinavian lands, marking the transition from the old ways to the new. Leif Erikson, the explorer who reached North America, is another key figure in this transformation. As a Christian convert, he played a role in spreading the faith to Greenland and beyond. His journeys were not just about exploration. They carried the seeds of change that would reshape Viking culture. Still, the shift wasn't immediate or complete. For a long time, Norse beliefs and Christianity coexisted. Early Scandinavian churches often featured carvings of both crosses and Viking symbols, blending the two traditions. This mix raises questions. Was it a peaceful blending of cultures or a resistance to letting go of the old gods entirely? The conversion to Christianity wasn't just a spiritual change. It altered the Vikings' place in the world. By adopting the faith, they aligned themselves with the dominant powers of medieval Europe. This choice may have helped end their era of raids, but allowed their influence to grow in other ways. Christianity shaped the Vikings' future, leaving behind a legacy that intertwined Norse traditions with the larger world. Legendary figures of the Viking Age. The Vikings' history is filled with larger-than-life figures whose stories continue to captivate us. One of the most famous is Ragnar Lodbrok, a name shrouded in both history and myth. Ragnar is said to have led daring raids across England and France, earning his reputation as a fearless warrior. But was he a real person or a blend of different Viking leaders? His sagas describe not just a fighter, but a man of strategy, ambition, and vision. Another legendary figure is Ivar the Boneless, a leader of the great heathen army that invaded England in the 9th century. His nickname has sparked much debate. Some think it refers to a medical condition, while others see it as a symbol of his flexibility and cunning. Whatever the truth, Ivar was known for his sharp mind and ability to lead his people to victory in some of the most difficult campaigns of the Viking Age. Then there is Harald Hardrada, often called the last great Viking king. Harald's life was a tale of adventure. He fought as a mercenary in faraway lands and later sought the throne of England. His death at the Battle of Stamford Bridge in 1066 marked the end of the Viking Age, but his legacy lived on as a symbol of Viking courage and ambition. These figures weren't just warriors. They were leaders, innovators, and storytellers who shaped the Viking world. Their stories leave us wondering, how much of their legend is true, and how much is the product of centuries of storytelling? Either way, their tales offer a glimpse into the spirit of a people who were unafraid to push boundaries and leave their mark on history. From raiders to settlers. The Viking Age is often remembered for dramatic raids, like the attack on Lindisfarne in 793 CE, where they stormed a peaceful monastery and shocked Christian Europe. But raiding was just one part of their story. Over time, the Vikings evolved from warriors into settlers, farmers, and traders, leaving a lasting impact on the lands they reached. In some places, their raids turned into opportunities. They didn't just take gold and silver, they stayed. The Vikings built settlements in places like Ireland, Scotland, and northern France. Cities such as Dublin began as Viking trading posts where goods from as far as the Middle East and Asia flowed through their markets. In France, Viking settlers became the Normans, blending their Norse traditions with local culture and later shaping European history. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Vikings is their eastward expansion. Known as the Russ, Viking traders and settlers traveled deep into Eastern Europe, founding cities like Novgorod and Kiev. They created trade routes connecting the Baltic Sea to the Byzantine Empire and beyond. Through these connections, they spread their influence far beyond what many imagine. The transformation from raiders to settlers wasn't accidental. As they explored new lands, the Vikings realized the advantages of farming fertile lands, controlling trade, and forging alliances. They often intermarried with local populations, blending their culture with those they encountered. This raises a question. Were the Vikings' raids simply acts of aggression, or were they part of a larger plan to secure their future? Their ability to adapt and thrive in new environments shows they were far more than the fierce warriors history remembers. They were builders of communities and bridges between worlds. The world of the Northmen. The Vikings came from the rugged lands of Scandinavia, where harsh winters and rocky terrain shaped their lives. Their world was one of towering mountains, icy waters, and vast forests, a place where survival required both strength and skill. These challenges created a people who were more than warriors. They were farmers, traders, and seafarers, deeply connected to the land and sea. In their villages, longhouses made of wood and thatch stood as the heart of community life. Here, families worked together, raising crops like barley and tending to livestock. Feasting halls brought people together, not just for meals, but for storytelling, where sagas of gods, heroes, and great voyages were shared. These stories weren't just entertainment, they passed down values and kept their history alive. The Vikings had no single ruler or government. Instead, they followed local leaders called chieftains, who gained respect through courage and generosity. Their society valued loyalty and honor, with clear roles for men and women alike. Women managed homes and farms while men often traveled, whether to trade, explore, or raid. Their gods, like Odin, Thor, and Freya, were closely tied to the natural world. These deities reflected the Vikings' beliefs about life and death, wisdom and power. Their myths, filled with tales of cosmic trees, endless battles, and journeys across the 9 realms, raise an intriguing question. Were these stories simply myths, or did they hide deeper meanings about their understanding of the universe? The Vikings' world was as complex as the people themselves, blending practicality, spirituality, and ambition. This foundation set the stage for their extraordinary voyages and enduring legacy.